If you've been feeling stuck on your runs recently and you've not been able to sort of break past this hurdle or plateau of getting to a stage where you can run for, let's say you're running for 15 minutes and you just can't seem to break them, I'll keep watching because I'm going to document exactly what I've been doing to get over this kind of problem and just literally just debunk everything you may think of about it. So if you're new here, my name is Prem and I'm currently doing the Couch to 5K running program and I've been documenting my journey so far. Today will be run number 21 and I document my experiences and give you a couple of pointers. So let's get into it. So in terms of today's run, this is when I sort of broke out of this plateau I've been facing recently. I've been able to run for about 15 minutes on my past 3 runs, and I chose to do this on my own accord because when I was running for 15 minutes, I felt like that was the absolute maximum I could do, and I wanted to repeat it again and again and again until I felt comfortable doing it. And today I ran for 17 and a half minutes, so that is an increase of around 2.5 minutes. If you look at 2.5 minutes just as a metric on its own, it's not a lot of time. But if you look at it in the context of what I'm talking about, going from running 15 minutes to 17 and a half minutes, well, running 17 and a half minutes is quite a good feat for where I am right now. So I'm quite happy with what I've achieved today, and I've obviously got quite a long way to go, but for where I am today, I'm very happy with being able to run for 17 and a half minutes. And what I did in terms of this run was put all my focus into my form and how my steps sound as I sort of hit the ground and run. So I put all my focus into my form, and in order to do this, I went on this run without my headphones. So there was no music, there was no external stimulation. It was just me and the sound of my footsteps and the breathing, and my own breathing, if you may. So one of the key pointers or cues I learnt whilst I was trying to figure out how to break through this plateau was part of it was down to is down to your running form. And because I'd been suffering with heavy feet and shin splints, this was kind of holding me back from like fulfilling my true potential in terms of running. And in the last video, I talked about like how to address that kind of problem. And in this run, I'm going to talk about it just a little bit briefly because I talked a lot about it in the previous video. So I'm not going to cover too much here, but what I will say is um, the easiest pointer you can take is go on a run without music and just listen to how you're breathing, the sound of your footsteps. If you sound heavy, something's not right. You should sound like a ninja. You're running or your steps. Every step you take should be very, very quiet. And if there's a big gap between your steps, that means your steps are much more likely to be louder. But if you're taking a couple of steps in between, or you're forcing yourself to take more little steps, you're going to be more quiet on your feet, which means you're going to be, if you're forcing yourself to take a couple more steps, that means you'll sound lighter, more like a ninja, and that'll mean that there'll be less load that goes through your feet on every step you take, which means you're going to be quieter and there'll be less load on your shins, meaning your shins won't hurt as much and your feet won't wear out as quick because you're running in the correct way. And also, what I paid attention to was my breathing because when you're listening to music on your runs, you often end up being distracted by whatever the next song in your playlist is going to be. You sort of don't really don't really play don't really pay much attention to how you're running, how you're breathing, because all you're focused on is the sound of your music. When you take the music away and all you've got to listen to is your own breathing and the sound of your footsteps, that is actually a real help and is something you should actually pay attention to. When you with all your footsteps, they should be quiet. If you're plodding along like a horse and you're very loud, something's not right. You need to take action and make sure that your steps are as quiet as possible. Obviously, they can have some sound, but you want these to be as quiet as possible because the quieter your steps are, the lighter you are going to be. You are going to be on your feet, which will mean that your feet don't end up feeling heavy at the end of your runs, and also your shins will be hurting as well. And also, because you're not listening to any music, you get the chance to really listen to how you're breathing. If you're heaving at the end of your runs, you're probably not breathing correctly. And because there's a lot going on in your head, like loud music, let's say, you're probably not paying attention to it as much as you should be. And one one of the easiest ways you can control your breathing is take 2 steps, take a breath in, take another 2 steps, and then breathe out. The faster you run, the more frequently you're going to want to breathe. If you're running at a slower, more controlled pace, you could perhaps take maybe a few more steps before taking a breath in. The point of breathing is to regulate your heart rate and slow it right down, because slowing your heart rate and regulating your breathing will mean that your body doesn't have to work as hard to keep yourself moving. The higher your heart rate goes, the harder your body has to work to keep you moving, which will mean you get tired more quickly and you get fatigued and are not able to run for as long as you want to. And another thing I found in terms of music is music doesn't really have a direct correlation to my own motivation in terms of runs. I haven't really felt a difference between running with music and running without music. I've actually found that running without music is often quite a peaceful experience because you don't have this loud external stimulation ringing through your ears. All you listen to is just your environment around you, the surroundings. And you're running in a nice area, let's say for like a park, that can be quite a nice experience. You're kind of just taking in what's around you, the environment. And overall, I quite like running without music. That being said, I also enjoy running with music, so it kind of depends on the kind of person you are. If you want to take a chance and fix up your running form, I would recommend not listening to music and just paying attention to your steps and how you breathe, because those two will be the biggest factors that will aid your running form and make you a better runner overall. And if you're someone who enjoys music, just take one run and just leave it, or have it be super quiet if you have to, because your breathing and your steps are super important. And I think you should really pay close attention to them because they're going to make all the difference. Another thing I wanted to say is that progress isn't linear. It may look slightly disgruntled. For example, if we look at the scope of my runs, there have been runs in the past where I run for 20 minutes, and I just said recently I've been running for 15 minutes, so it looks like I've gone backwards. Well, that isn't the case really, because if we look at the context of the situation, when I ran for 20 minutes a couple of runs ago, that was like a massive slog. It wasn't a great run at all. My form, there wasn't any real form. I was kind of dragging myself along. I was running super slow. At some points, I was kind of walking, just trying to get myself to keep moving. And overall, that run was just not a pleasant experience. But if I look to the run I did um, just recently, I ran for 15 minutes. Well, in theory, yes, it is less time, but I was completely comfortable. I was able to run quicker, and I enjoyed running for that 15 minutes. Even though it is less time, I think that's good progress because I was able to run with good form, be pain free, and actually enjoy the experience compared to running around for 20 minutes and there was no real form there. I didn't enjoy it and it was very painful. And I repeated that run of 15 minutes on 3 separate occasions until I really got comfortable with running for that amount of time. And then once I got comfortable, I raised the stakes of my run a little bit to run for 17 and a half to see if I was capable of doing it. And I was, because I completed 17 and a half minutes and I was fairly okay. And in the next run, I'll probably end up increasing it again. We'll see how that turns out. And that is all I have to say today. So that is what I've done to sort of break through my plateau. And just, if you've been stuck in this kind of purgatory where you've been trying to run for longer but your body's just not holding up, it may also be the case that you just need to take an extra bit of rest. Sometimes when you get so invested into a goal, you are so like attached to progressively improving every single time. Sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes there'll be time you actually just need to take an extra day or two off and just give your body the chance to recover before setting out and trying to improve upon what you did a few runs ago. So that's all I've got to say, and I'll catch you in the next one.